did this guy throw his friend under the bus?
Remove me. I was never in your life. What the would you have been doing? Up until about maybe a year and a half ago, you spent a lot of time trying to find your steps. Imagine if you didn't have a friend who's already extremely successful to help you get on your feet.
I personally think what Yachty did was disrespectful. That's something you don't say in front of mixed company, let alone on a podcast in front of thousands of viewers. I just think it was kind of dirty. It was kind of shady. And it was very high horse and I'm better than you type of vibe. He basically told his friend that without me, you won't be ish, or you wouldn't be ish. And that's cold. Even if it's true that his friend might have been on the wrong path before, or maybe wasn't doing much of anything before, he was just kind of bumming it out, so to speak, doesn't mean that he would have continued on that path and not become successful. So, not to say he would have, but I mean, it's just
probably would have took longer.
Could have. Maybe, listen, not everybody be successful. Maybe he'd be a regular dude on the street, or not on the street, but working, whatever. But that was kind of dirty how he did it.
No, listen, I thought that was extremely foul.
Yeah,
because this is my general belief. Listen, if I'm going to help someone out, I believe that you should actually just help them out, and you don't need to bring it up 1,000 times. Yeah. Someone that, like, if you do something for someone and they have to bring it up every single time, that means they did it for them. They didn't do it for you. They did it so that way they can brag about it in the future. Which I think is ultimately just disingenuous.
I like that point. I will say this to try to see the other side of it. Not to say how he went about it was right. Yeah. There's no excusing that. But part of me is like, okay, well, I don't know the backstory of their friendship. Maybe Yachty feels resentful towards Mitch because he's like, oh, maybe Mitch isn't grateful. And not to say you got to like grovel at his feet, but maybe he's not showing any gratitude for what Yachty did. And Yachty said he put in $400K or something like that.
Yeah, that's an investment. That is an investment.
And I'm assuming Mitch didn't put much into it.
Yeah. So, no, listen, I completely get it because there are some times, and I've done this personally too, there's sometimes like I've gone out of my way to help someone out. And it's not the fact that you need them to kiss at your feet or you need them to, oh my gosh, you're the greatest. Yeah. But it is nice to feel like they actually appreciated it.
Yeah.
And you want them to know that, you want them to know that like, hey, it took sacrifice on my part, but please just appreciate the fact that I sacrificed a little bit so that way you could come up. So you don't have to do anything amazing, but hey, just let me know that you appreciated it. Yeah. I think, and that also comes along with respect too. And it just comes along with actually knowing the person that you're helping out. Because listen, I've made that mistake in my life before. There's times in my life where I've been ahead of someone and I've gone back. I say, okay, well, let me take a step back so that way you could take a step forward. And then when they take a step forward, I notice that they start talking shit about me or they start trying to compete with me. And I realize, okay, well, that person wasn't genuine to even begin with. So sometimes it just comes down to you actually doing it with the right person, you helping out the right person. So the way that I go about stuff now, if I help someone else, number one, it's knowing the person better. Yeah. Because sometimes when you meet someone at the lowest point, that's not the real them. True. Sometimes you meet the person at their highest point, that's not the real them either. True. But
great point.
Yeah. So one thing that like I've kind of implemented in the future is like you kind of already see the person doing something, like they're already making an effort to do it, and then you come in there and you might say, hey, let me help you out, free of charge, of course, and let me help you boost yourself up. That's kind of like the way I do it now, opposed to me seeing someone at completely zero. They're not making any effort, and then I just come in there, I'm doing 90% of the work, and then they're doing 5% of the work, and they're like, hey, what's happening? Like, why isn't it working out? Well, I don't know. Why don't you contribute 90%? So,
yeah, that's actually a great way to go about it. To almost like, okay, you can't teach. I think there's a saying, you can't teach attitude or effort or whatever it is. So if you see someone who's trying to get something done and they're showing they're working hard towards it. Yeah. At least like you said, okay, they're really about it. They're trying.
They appreciate
just kind of boost it a little bit.
Yeah.
Not take someone who's kind of just like whatever.
You're starting at zero and you're doing everything, and then they're looking at you like, okay, well, Yeah. But that's part of people too. But to go back to the main situation though, I'm just never a fan of whenever someone volunteers your personal information, especially just to justify a point. Because number one, the point is not that serious. And then number two, it's just like, what's the point?
No, that's what I was thinking too. I was thinking the same thing. I said, okay, number one,
yeah,
that's not really something I would probably bring up ever. I don't really see a point to bring it up,
especially in front of a random person.
In front of a random person on a podcast. It's like, I don't want to say unforgivable. That's extreme, but I
listen. If he's putting a $100K into you, that's definitely forgivable.
Hold on, say again. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so if you invest in
yeah.
100K,
400K.
yeah,
Or 3 or
it's
4,
definitely
yeah.
forgivable. It's just we have a discussion that's never gonna take place ever again.
That discussion will be had, but I
Yeah.
also, knowing myself anyways, I'm not gonna feel the same way about you after that. Like, I just,
Of course not.
it's unfortunate, but it's just too disrespectful. It's all,
Super
I'm sorry.
disrespectful.
That's an offline conversation, and that's a conversation that you don't say it like that. You just kind of like,
You know what someone said in the comment section?
yeah.
That kind of made me think, and I'm like, damn, that is true.
What?
Someone said it's like that friend who tries to embarrass you in front of a girl.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Oh,
this has happened to almost every guy where they might have had a friend in the past where, like, your friend might get around a super attractive girl and all of a sudden they start, like, throwing jabs and shots at you. Like, oh, remember that time you were unemployed and I helped you out? Or, you know, remember that time where I did this for you, trying to make themselves look like the man and make you look like the dork? So I'm like, dang, that's real. Those are the worst kind of people. I hate that.
No, I mean,
It's like you're taking it's like you're backstocking my failures so that way you could just bring it up. Like you could just pull it out the cabinet. Like, oh, remember the time you failed?
yeah, I think that person has a good point, but I will say, like, for that scenario, the person who's like clowning you in front of the girl is probably insecure
I
about
was about to say
something.
that. It's definitely insecurity.
But in Yachty's case, it's like I think he's been holding that in and wanted to, like, maybe he felt like this guy is not doing what he's not pulling. Maybe they had an agreement. I fund the money, you do most of the work or something.
Yeah.
He's not holding up the bargain or
Yeah.
something, and he's just like getting tired of it, and so he like sliding it out there because he didn't want to directly address it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which
I mean, I understand basically what you're saying. Basically what you're saying is that the guy didn't uphold his part of the bargain, so then Yachty might not be a super direct person.
Yeah.
So he's probably just doing it passive aggressively,
Right.
like, hey, by the, you know.
something like that. Yeah.
Which I'm not a fan of either. I'd rather someone just come out and say it. But I do get it. Not everybody is an aggressive person. Not everybody
assertive. Yeah.
is used to talking to people like that.
Yeah.
Because I think that that's also a skill that, like, I don't know. In my life, I've come across so many different kinds of people to the point where I've had to directly say something to someone because if not, nothing will change. Whereas, but I realize there are other people that haven't had this experience. There are other people that have hung around very chill, very respectful people where they haven't had to have any of these conversations at all. So to them,
That's crazy to me.
I mean, it's just life. Some people are just different.
Well, I know, because I'm saying, like, in everyday life, sometimes you have to say things directly to people. You don't really know, like, to get something done, or because they're disrespectful, you like have to say.
But you have to also think that everybody's tolerance is different, right?
Yeah.
So my tolerance might be lower than somebody else's tolerance.
Yeah, it's facts.
So
And temperament's different too.
yeah.
Some people have that temperament to where like they fly off the handle.
Oh yeah, I know.
Some
I know.
people-
Yeah.
You're like, do they ever get mad? You know, I was like that. You know, in my life, that has always seemed happy. They're not really always happy,
Of course not.
but they seem to, you know. But 80% of the time, they are actually happy. So that's just their disposition.
Which isn't a bad place to be in life.
No, not at all. I wake up mad. I make up mad most of the time. So I'm kidding, kind of. So yeah, but
So ultimately, guys, I'm gonna say Yachty made a bad decision.
Yeah.
I thought this is very foul. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that I think when you look at yourself on the internet, sometimes you're not always gonna be happy with what you see, and I think that it's clear that Yachty didn't like this. So
well, he made that video afterwards on like an IG live, right?
yeah.
He didn't apologize. He doubled down in a way.
Yeah, he doubled down on it, but the reason why he doubled down on it is that, like, people are responding to how he was acting on it. So he doesn't like that people are perceiving him to be, like, an a-hole, when in reality, he's just saying, like, hey, you don't know the other side. Like, I really did the most for this person, and they really did the less. So I have a reason to be mad, even if I did throw him down the bus. It's like, well, this guy could have threw me down the bus financially, and you guys don't know that. So
The conversation offline, just exit partnership. But
you are 100% right on that.
so yeah, bad decision on Yachty regardless.
Okay, guys. So if you think Yachty made a good decision, leave a like, leave a comment. If you think he made a bad decision, do his friend leave the bus. Leave a like, leave a comment. All right, decision makers, make better decisions.